to our post-race rundown. After last weekend's exciting race in Manila, today I am joined by the one and only Sir Bear.
Hello. Now we won't be talking about FP1 and FP2 in depth, but we will be talking about the top 3 session.
Yes, so I'll start off with FP1, where Lucht went fastest with a 1:26.809 on his final lap of that session, and at that specific point in time he was a reserve driver. Lucht was followed by Detemi, who was fastest for most of the session with a 1:26.812, and rounding out the top 3 is Detemi's teammate, the one and only Jacob, who was slower by just less than a second with a 1:27.753.
Yes, it was quite exciting end to the session, but now we have to go into FP2. The fastest in FP2 was Edox of Detemi, who got a 25.6. She was the fastest throughout the session, and nobody could really challenge her or match her pace. In P2, her teammate, the one and only Jacob, with a 25.9. In P3, it was the Aston Martin of Lucht once again, proving he should be a main driver in that Aston car, setting a 1:27.080. Slower than an SP1 time, but in the end, at a press conference, he said he was only trying to set laps.
Yes, it was quite an exciting Friday session because we got to see who was where in the grand scheme of...
Yes, and you have to remember that neither of the Black Bulls were present at any point in time on the Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Now, moving on to Saturday, we will talk about the top 3. Now, FP3 had both the Black Bulls car with Dakar setting the fastest time with a 1:24.865, going over a second faster than Detemi in P2, who set a 1:25.998. He was not exactly happy about the new drivers beating her. Then, in P3 was another Black Bull of Melodic Adrian. He set a 1:26.330, so he seemed to be all about the Black Bulls and not the Edox cars.
Yeah, it was really sad to see that the Edox cars were not on the pace, but now we have qualifying to talk about, and we will talk about the top 3 in each session and the people that were knocked out. So in Q1, Dakar was the fastest with a 1:25.508, once again proving that the Black Bulls had pace over their rivals. His teammate, Melodic Adrian, was in P2 with a 1:25.413. He was then followed by Detemi, who set a 1:25.781. But the people that were knocked out were Chris, Dawson, Emma, Spidercraft, and finally Jamar.
Quite a surprising Q1, but that's not the qualifying session we need to focus on. But we shall now move on to Q2 results, where once again Dakar and Melodic Adrian were fastest, followed by Detemi in the Edox, who looked like she was struggling to keep up with the Black Bulls' pace, and knocked out of Q2 with the following: XGT, I Don't Know You 2017, Hakui, Yilo, and Hyuns.
Now, into the highly awaited Q3 session, where once again it was a Black Bull front row lockout, with Dakar on pole with a 24.376, followed by his teammate Melodic Adrian. That was a 25.278. P3 was the one and only Jacob with a 25.615, followed by his teammate of Detemi with a 1:26.644. Then it was Lucht with a 26.8, then surprisingly followed by Barry Wong, who got a 27.176. Very unexpected from Barry Wong in the Q3 session.
Yes, quite an exciting Saturday, and we were all very excited to see what was happening in the most anticipated part of the race weekend.
The race. Now the race was absolutely mad. The one and only Jacob getting a horrific start, dropping down to P11. Dakar straight into the lead, with Detemi holding on tight. Melodic Adrian was right behind it. Detemi. Dawson gained 5 or 6 places right off the start for the Alpha Tauri team.
Yes, and at the end, Dakar won the race with a Melodic Adrian in P2, and the one and only Jacob getting P3 after a shocking start. You also want to keep in mind that Detemi was P2, but rage quit the league after being given a post-race penalty for wall breaking. Barry Wong had a decent race, getting a shock P4, and behind Barry Wong was King Dawson with a great P5 after starting P13, and following Dawson was crisp, and behind him was Eminem.
It was an especially exciting race last weekend, but now we're here in Sochi awaiting this weekend's event. There's been a lot of news coming out of a lot of teams. Temi leaving Edox after round 1, meaning Edox have to find a star driver that can match the pace of the one and only Jacob to finally put that team back where it belongs. Blade, who do you think will replace Temi this weekend? Since I think it will be Looked, since he showed absolutely amazing pace during qualifying and the race.
Well, as you said, Lux could replace her, but there is the reserve at Edox that could be used, or even another driver like Dawson, Barry Wong and Emanos that could replace her, since they all showed last weekend that they had pace to keep up with the one and only Jacob.
That's true, since each and every one of them proved their ability within the car. But now, we're going to move on to another big thing that Black Bull has rebranded to Boot GP, which brings a lot of new things such as new livery, garage and race suits.
Yes, that is extremely big news, since Boot GP have a rich history in other leagues, and each and every one of them they have done well in, leading me to think this is why they have rebranded, since they are doing extremely well so far. Plus, another big topic is that the R&D has been cancelled, meaning that cars can't be upgraded to the driver's liking. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's going to be a massive impact on the season, especially after round 5 when you would see the R&D taking its course. So yeah, well, it's going to have an impact on the season, especially past the midway point. Meaning the drivers are going to have to drive their cars more aggressively if they want to get those top results.
Yep, and also there are new helmet models, which doesn't mean much, but they do look much better than before.
Yes, they do look much better and could increase the speed slightly if they were painted red.
Now, on to Sochi and what we think it's going to be like this coming weekend. I think once again it's going to be a boring race, since I think it's just going to be Boot GP on the top step.
That is extremely true, since they've looked strong since last weekend, especially after their main rival Edox has been put down slightly after a loss of a driver. Let's hope some of those midfield teams can also put in the hard yards and start rivaling teams like Edox and Boot GP.
Now, I think that's all we can talk about, so I think we'll see you guys next weekend here in Sochi.